All right, I think we're going. Hello, welcome to my cooking show. In this week's video, I figured I would take you guys through some of my favorite, most considered staple items in my pantry. Simply because we've been recording a lot of vlogs, and in so many of the vlogs, I cook dinner almost every night. I am by no means a good chef or a good cook. I just know what our family likes. And I've been doing this long enough that I've kind of figured out some of the essentials that must have items that I personally cannot live without. I cannot run my kitchen without these things. And these essentials definitely are not the typical herbs and or spices that you will see. Of course, you're gonna need those in your kitchen, but these are ones that I've learned that I cannot live and or cook without. So I figured I would share those with you today and show you just how I make one of my favorite things in this entire world, and that is scrap stock. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. So this is also one of the first times I'm using multiple camera angles, which makes me feel like this is actually a cooking show. Okay. So the first one I'm sure you're not surprised by it, and that's boxed wine. Boxed wine gets such a bad rap, and they've been making some massive strides to make these quite a bit tastier, but I like having them on hand for cooking reasons, not just for drinking reasons, although this right here, this Pinot Grigio, it's my jam. It's my jam. Boxed wine is not only an affordable option, but it stores for a really, really long time. So if you're cooking and you don't necessarily drink wine very often, you don't want to open up a bottle and then just have it sit there for a month untouched, because then it might go bad. But with these, they're designed to sit on your shelf or in your fridge for an extended period of time. How long is it? There should be a time frame for this. I don't know, I never hit the time frame. Mine's always gone before then. Stays fresh for up to 30 days. It gives you the perfect portioning amount, so you don't have to necessarily open up an entire bottle just for one dish, but you can keep coming back to these, which is why they are #1 on my essentials list, and not just because I like drinking them. The next and possibly most valuable item on my cooking list is minced garlic. You guys, I hate cutting garlic. I'm just gonna let you in on that little secret. I hate it. I hate it. I hate when my fingers get sticky and they smell like it for the next 3.5 months. So this beauty, this guy right here, it's already pre-minced garlic, and it's literally just garlic in water. This wonderful, wonderful sweet jar is my workaround for that. So that way I don't have to mince garlic every single time I want to use it, whether I want to use a teaspoon, a tablespoon, or 7 tablespoons, I always have this on hand. And as opposed to keeping garlic bulbs around, that may be more your speed, but if you've watched any of our vlogs, then you know that I don't always plan ahead for food. So I don't want to spend an extra 5-10 minutes mincing garlic when I can just get a jar of this and always keep it in my fridge. Next on my kitchen essentials list, the next item is super standard. Lemon and or lime juice. Now the reason that I really like having these is sometimes you need to add a bit of brightness to a dish. That's something that I've learned recently. That TV show, Salt, Acid, Fat, Heat, is that salt, fat, acid, heat? That's what it is. That you need to have each one of those 4 components to make a well-balanced dish. So lemon and lime juice is oftentimes my go-to for adding that acidity, because while I can turn to stuff like red wine vinegar, Tabasco, that's a great way to add that tang and that heat, not all dishes will do well with that. And I'm also terrible about having lemons or limes on hand unless I'm making margaritas, okay? And then they don't stick around for very long. If I just need an extra splash, a little bit of brightness to a dish, I have these on hand. I will cut a lime in half and use half of it and then forget that the other half exists, and it will just go bad in my fridge. So this is a great way for me to portion out exactly what I need, just a little hint of brightness, a little splash of this, and it really wakes up whatever I'm making. And that way, again, same with the wine and same with the minced garlic, I can use whatever portion I need without actually wasting anything. And are these gonna be as good as the real deal? Absolutely not. But again, I ain't got time for that, and I'm just gonna end up wasting half the stuff anyways. This one is a relatively new one to our kitchen staple, and now that we've moved away from Trader Joe's, I'm really, really sad, but luckily I have 2 bags of it. It is nutritional yeast. Over the last, I don't know, several years since having Silas, we've realized that Silas and Elias are both like a little bit lactose intolerant, but I still love that like nutty Parmesan flavor. Sometimes that's really hard for me to give up in dishes. Now they can eat some cheese and some dairy in moderation, but I'm doing my best to just like cut out some of that if I can, because then my husband doesn't have an excuse to sit on the toilet for an extended period of time, even though he's going to anyways. And that is where nutritional yeast comes in. It has like a nutty Parmesan taste to it. I would say it's not quite as salty, obviously, as Parmesan is, but this is such a great little addition to any dish. Like I will saute some vegetables and toss this on top, and it really just adds like a depth of flavor to everything. Not to mention that nutritional yeast is super, super good for you. We're just gonna go over the what is this? Nutritional facts real fast. It has 310% of your daily dose of thiamine, riboflavin, there's 240%, niacin, 110%, vitamin B6, 150%, folate, 90%, vitamin B12, 130%. You guys, this is packed full of stuff that is super good for my family, for me, for my children, so I can get some vitamins into them, and it'll still taste great. And then my husband can't use the excuse to be on the John for, 30 minutes the next day, because I didn't actually use cheese, but I got the cheese flavor, Next item on my list. I am so crazy about stock. I am so utterly obsessed with chicken stock and beef stock. I will cook my potatoes for mashed potatoes in stock. It just infuses flavor into absolutely everything. Of course, if your family is vegan or vegetarian, there are options that you can do for that as well. That's not the case for us, so these two options work really well. I will use the beef one for any dish that I want a heartier flavor, so if I'm doing French onion soup, definitely go with the beef. Occasionally I will do half beef and half chicken stock when I'm doing risotto, because while risotto calls for a stock, typically it's a chicken or a vegetable, but when I add the beef, especially if we do it with like filet mignon tips, so freaking good. So if you don't have this in your pantry, I highly recommend trying it. I prefer this packaging over the cans, because then you have to kind of use it all at once. Where this is, just like everything else, something you can pour a little bit of, use a little bit of, and you don't have to use it all at once, and then it can just live happily in your fridge for the next couple of weeks. Oh, and then last of the pile in front of me, but not the last for today, is shelf-stable heavy whipping cream. Guys, I had like a meltdown the other day on Instagram stories where I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm not near Trader Joe's. I'm on my very last container of shelf-stable heavy whipping cream. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. And some sweet subscribers who are coming down from Dallas, where there is a Trader Joe's, picked up 5 of these for me. And unfortunately, I'm now down to 3. And they picked them up for us like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. These are so great for dishes that require milk, and we happen to run out of it. Like I said, with Elias and Silas really not drinking a whole lot of it, it's just the girls and I, sometimes I forget to pick some up. So if I start to cook a recipe and I'm like, oh no, it calls for milk, I can grab one of these. Of course, heavy whipping cream is not gonna be like the best for your body. I'm aware of that, but it's rich and it's delicious. So if I'm ever in a circumstance where I need milk and I don't have it on hand, or I have a recipe that calls for this, these freaking babies live on my shelf, so I don't have to use it before it goes bad. I can just use it whenever I need it, and that, again, is the theme for all of these essentials here. I'm really, really not good about using up something before it expires unless it's like vegetables or meat. But when it comes to some of these other things, I just don't get to them in time, or sometimes I forget about them. There's only so many things that my brain can manage or hold on to at once, so I'd rather focus on the vegetables and the proteins and let stuff like this just sit there and be ready and waiting for when I need it. So now, we are gonna full on turn into a cooking show. You ready for this? Let's just make sure that this is not gonna overheat. Okay, someone asked recently if I would share how I make my scrap stock. So, I am going to show you that my new microphone's really cool and you can hear me really well even when I'm not on camera. Let's get this, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how stinking easy this is, all right? Let's get you turned down here. Here's what I have going on for me right now. And if you've seen it in the vlogs, you've probably seen me talk about this before. This is not something new, but I use rotisserie chickens a lot. In fact, this almost made the cut for some of my essentials because that's how often I will get a rotisserie chicken. It's already done, means I don't have to do a meal. It's just ready for me, and then I can use the bones and the skin and whatever meat is left on the bones to create a fabulous and delicious chicken stock. Of course, again, if your family is vegetarian and or vegan, you can just do this with just the vegetables. But for us, we love to add the rotisserie chicken in there. So usually I don't freeze it, but I knew this one was getting close to going bad, so I chucked it in the freezer because I wanted to film this for you guys. So while that defrosts in the microwave, I have this beautiful, beautiful bag of the holy trinity of root vegetables, and that is onions, celery, and carrots. So anytime I cook anything with one of these ingredients, I save all of the scraps. Let's see if I can show you here. Here's the inside part of a heart of celery, you know, the part that you don't really end up using with the leaves. Definitely save some of that. We have the top of an onion, you know, nothing much to it, but there's still plenty of onion meat left on this, so why not keep that? We have the tip of a carrot. We have some carrot shavings in here too. We've got some carrot tops, we've got the edges of onions. So basically any bit of that other than the skin, which occasionally I try not to save, but sometimes it sneaks in there, I will bag up, freeze, and when this is full or I have a rotisserie chicken ready to go, then I just drop it on into my super, super large stock pot. This is one of those circumstances where that minced garlic or the pre-minced garlic comes in handy for sure. I think it says half a teaspoon is considered a clove. So when a recipe calls for like a clove or two of garlic, I'm like, you said 7 wrong. So I'll just toss in some of the garlic in there and then wait for the chicken to be a little bit more defrosted. I like to have as much of that in the stock as possible, including some of the juices down below. And then what I'm gonna do, and this is so my father, this is completely something my father would do and does, I'm gonna save this bag because there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just gonna throw it back in my freezer so the next time I cook something with one of those vegetables, I can toss it on in there. Perfect. Okay, so now that I have, let's go ahead and get my phone out of the way. I have defrosted the chicken. We are getting, this feels like a cooking show. We're getting some of those super wonderful juices that were all a part of the chicken. So I'm just gonna pour those in. Can you see? You can kind of see. I know my camera angles need a little bit of work. Maybe I should just turn this top one a teeny tiny bit. Yay, see more of my messy kitchen. What a treat. Basically, any of the meat that's left over on the bones, all the bones, and quite a bit of skin actually is left in this one as well. So now that that's in there, I'm gonna go ahead and pour some water in this to try to get as much of that deliciousness out as possible before filling this up. All right, so I didn't get quite all of it out, but just enough to get any of the remaining bits out of the bottom of that. And now I'm gonna go ahead and take this over to the sink and fill it all the way up. A lot of recipes will say just fill it up until all of the items in there are covered. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna fill it all the way up to the top because I'm a rule breaker. Okay. All right, so there it is. She's basically ready to go. Now, usually I don't add too much salt. I'm gonna do this over the sink because the holder for this is broken, or like the little, what's it, spout? Okay, so usually I don't add too much salt because there's obviously some salt in the rotisserie chicken as well, but I'm just gonna add a teeny bit on top. A lot of stock recipes will also call for some sort of seasoning. You can toss some parsley in there if you want to. I personally never do because it's just one extra step. So then I will toss this on to full heat, get it to a boil, bring it down, and let it simmer for a very, very long time. Sometimes that means 8 hours, sometimes that even means overnight. Yeah, I let this bad boy go for as long as possible because the flavors will get even better as this goes on and on. Now again, a lot of recipes will say do it for 1 to 2 hours, but I barely get any flavor out of that. So I just let it go for as long as possible. So then after I've let it simmer for hours and hours and hours, I end up getting something that looks a little bit like a defrosted version of this. This is, look at the richness, look at the color of that. Wait, hold on. Look at that, such a beautiful color. And this is all from stuff that would be trash and has such a rich and such a great flavor that I use it in the same exact way that I would use this kind of stuff. I will typically, once everything's strained, I will put them in freezer bags of about 6 to 8 cups per bag and then defrost it as I need it. I have like a little 2-quart pitcher that I can put some of this in, so if I use part of it but not all of it for a recipe, I can keep the leftovers in the fridge and then just use them to jazz up recipes as I go. Honestly guys, a lot of this comes from not wanting to be wasteful and being immensely lazy. I don't want to go to the store to buy a lime. I don't want to realize I've forgotten a garlic clove or 7 for a recipe. I just want to have stuff on hand, ready to go, because I need to be efficient with my time and efficient with what I'm spending my money on. So I would rather buy something that is shelf or refrigerator stable that's gonna sit there for a while, even though it may not be good as the fresh stuff, but it saves me time and it saves me energy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps some of you out. I know so many of my viewers here are engaged or just got married, coming over from my main wedding planning channel. Hopefully this kind of helps you get started in getting into cooking and trying it. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at all. I just really enjoy it, and I think, yeah, you are so loud. I just really enjoy it, and I think you guys might too. So hopefully it saves you some money, saves you some time, and they turn into essential staples in your kitchen as well. If you like this video, jump on down there, give it a thumbs up. This was super fun for me. It feels like I have my own cooking show. So thank you for joining my cooking show. Comment some of your kitchen essentials down below. Maybe I missed something and I need a new essential that's on your list. And until next time, bye guys. Let's get that thumbnail. Okay, I don't think people understand the struggle of thumbnails. All right, yeah. I don't know if I can get them all in one shot though. Oh. Okay. Let's just leave it like this. No, I want the stalk to show. Okay, hold on. And now, some of this. What? Now how do I get everything out of my hands?